God sent forth his only begotten Son. He suffered, died, buried and rose from the dead on the third day, Saturday. 3 days and 3 nights. Alright then. Only Jalo, yeah. Only Jalo, come on, come on. Only Jalo, yeah. Only Jalo, yeah. People in this earth, they don't got no love. Them heart full of hate, them heart full of strife. They don't want to unite and live life. Blessed Shabbat, brothers and sisters, Hebrews in Jamaica, the Caribbeans, the West, to the four corners of the earth scattered greetings. This Shabbat lessons, I'm going to title it, The Things Yahushua HaMashiach Did as an Infant. The Things Yahushua Did as an Infant. I'm going to be taking the studies out of the last book of the Bible, the forgotten book of Eden, the Gospel of the Infancy of Yahushua HaMashiach, from chapter 1 to 5. But before I begin this lesson, brothers and sisters, it's going to be a twofold lesson, right? We'll talk about infancy and the things that Yahushua did, and we're going to touch on the churches of today, right? So I'm going to say this is like a opening, an entry per se, right, to the last book of the Bible, forgotten book of Eden, right? And you're going to see why I said that when I read it to you. We're going to take this scripture from John, from the King James Version, right? John 21:25, right? And there are also many other things which Yahushua did, right? The which, if they should be written, every one, I suppose that even the world itself could not contain the books that should be written. So basically what he's saying that right, if everything should be written, if everything had been written in the Bible, what we call today as the King James Version, 66 books, that should have included Apocrypha, right, plus other books, it couldn't be contained. It would have been too big a book or a heavier book, I suppose, right? So this confirms other scriptural texts such as Enoch, the last book of the Bible, Dead Sea Scroll, you understand? And it says right here, John 21:21 and John 21 verse 25. And there are also many other things which Yahushua did. And we're going to cover that in this series from the last book of the Bible, the forgotten book of Eden, right? The which, if they should be written, every one, I suppose that even the world itself could not contain the books that should be written. Amen. Right? Right, brothers and sisters? So, now that we got that out in the open, right? Let's get into the lesson. Chapter 1. The first gospel of the infancy of Yahushua Mashiach, taken from the lost books of the Bible, the forgotten book of Eden. Right? The following an account The following accounts we found in the book of Joseph. See, there's another book right there, the book of Joseph, right? The following accounts we found in the book of Joseph. The high priest, called by some Caiaphas, he relates that Yahushua spake even when he was in the cradle, right? When he was in the cradle, and said to his mother, Mary, I am Yahushua, the son of Eliakim. That word which thou didst bring forth, according to the declaration of the angel Gabriel to thee, and my Father had sent me for the salvation of the world. And like I said, we already know, because I touched on this in my previous videos, that the world is not actually talking about the world in itself, right? Because if you do a study of about the word world in scriptures, it is always reference to the world of Yashrael, right? That's what it's talking about, the world of Yashrael, right? Verse 4. In the 309th year of the area of Alexander Augustus, published a decree that all persons should go to be taxed in their own country. Joseph therefore arose and with Mary his spouse he went to Jerusalem and then came to Bethlehem, that he and his family might be taxed in the city of his fathers. And when they came by the cave, Mary confessed to Joseph that her time of bringing forth was come, and she could not go unto the city, and said, let us go into this cave. And at that time the sun was very near going down, right? And Joseph hastened away that he might fetch her a midwife. And when he saw an old Hebrew woman who was of Jerusalem, he said to her, Pray, come hither, good woman, and go into that cave, and you will there see a woman just ready to bring forth. And it was after sunset when the old woman and Joseph with her reached the cave, and they both went into it. And behold, it was all filled with lights, greater than the light of lamps and candles, and greater than the light of the sun itself. The infant was then wrapped up in swaddling cloth, and sucking the breasts of his mother Mariam. When they both saw this light, they were surprised. The old woman asked Mariam, Art thou the mother of this child? Mariam replied, She was. On which the old woman said, Thou art very different from all other women. Mariam answered, As there is not any child like to my son, so neither is there any woman like to his mother. The old woman answered and said, O my lady, I am come hither that I may obtain an everlasting reward. Then our lady Mariam said to her, Lay thine hands upon the infant, which when she had done, she became whole. She said, From henceforth, all this day of my life, I will attend upon and be a servant of this infant. After this, when the shepherds came and had a fire, and they were exceedingly rejoicing, the heavenly hosts appeared to them, praising and adoring the supreme Elohim. And as the shepherds were engaged in the same employment, the cave at that time seemed like a glorious temple, because both the tongues of but both the tongues of angels and men united to adore and magnify Elohim on account of the birth of the Adonai Mashiach. And when the old Hebrew woman saw all these evident miracles, she gave praises to Elohim and said, I thank thee, O Elohim, thou Elohim of Yasharel, for that time, for that mine eyes have seen the birth of the Savior of the world. Right, brothers and sisters? So the three wise men came from the east, right? So we know right then and there, brothers and sisters, that if the three wise men traveling from the east and the star was leading them to Bethlehem, therefore the star could not be called an eastern star but a western star, because the three wise men is traveling from the east. Therefore, in order for them to go and seek out the king of Yasharel, the savior of Yasharel's world, the star would have obviously be in the western position, leading them westward. So it would have been the western star and not the eastern star, brothers and sisters. Alright? Chapter 2. And when the time of his circumcision was come, namely the 8th day, on which the law commanded the child to be circumcised, they circumcised him in the cave, and the whole Hebrew woman took the foreskin. Others say she took the navel string and preserved it in an alabaster box of old oil of spikenard. And she had a son who was a druggist, to whom she said, Take heed thou sell not this alabaster box of spikenard ointment, although thou shouldest be offered 300 pence for it. Now this is that alabaster which Mariam the sinner procured and poured forth the ointment out of it upon the head and the feet of the Adonai Yahushua Mashiach, and wiped it off with the hair of her head. Right? This is in scriptures. Right? As a matter of fact, let's go to that to show you right now. Hold on. Alright, here's the scriptures, brothers and sisters. Right? Let's read this again in chapter 2, verse 4 of the Lost Book of the Bible and the Forgotten Book of Eden. Now this is that alabaster box which Mary the sinner procured and poured forth the ointment out of it upon the head and the feet of our Adonai Yahushua Mashiach, and wiped it off with the hairs of her head. Right? Now let's look at the corroboration or the parallel. Right? Right, brothers and sisters. Let's look at the parallel. Right? John 12, verse 3, KJV. Then took Mary a pound of ointment of spikenard, right? Then took Mary a pound of ointment of spikenard, very costly, and anointed the feet of Yahushua, and wiped his feet with her hair, and the house was filled with the odor of the ointment. So you see, brothers and sisters, how it lines up well with scripture, this book, the lost book of the Bible, the forgotten book of Eden, right? It lines up perfectly, brothers and sisters. You know what I mean? Lines up perfectly. Right? Alright, brothers and sisters. So let's move on. Verse 5. Then after 10 days they brought him to Jerusalem, and on the 40th day from his birth, they presented him in the temple before Yahuwah, making the proper offering for him according to the requirement of the law of Moshe, namely that every male which opens the womb shall be called Kudesh, holy, unto Elohim. At that time, old Simeon saw him shining as a pillar of light when Mariam, the virgin, his mother, carried him in her arms, and was filled with greatest pleasure at the sight. And the angels stood around him, adoring him, as a king's guard stand around him. Then Simeon, going near to Mariam and stretching forth his hands towards her, said to Adonai Mashiach, Now, O Adonai, thy servant shall depart in peace according to thy word, for mine eyes have seen thy mercy which thou hast prepared for the salvation of all nations, a light to all people, and the glory of thy people Yisrael. Hannah the prophetess was also present, and joined near she gave praises to Elohim and celebrated the happiness of Mariam. Chapter 3. And it came to pass, when the Adonai Yahushua was born at Bethlehem, a city of Judea, in the time of Herod the king, the wise men came from the east to Jerusalem according to the prophecy of Zoroaster, and brought with them offerings, namely gold, frankincense, and myrrh, and worshipped him, and offered to him their gifts. Then the lady Mariam took one of his swaddling clothes, in which the infant was wrapped, and gave it to them instead of a blessing, which they received from her as a most noble present. At the time there appeared to them an angel in the form of that star which had before been their guide in their journey, the light of which they followed till they returned into their own country. On their return, their kings and princes came to them, inquiring what they had seen and done, what sort of journey and return they had, what company they had on the road. But they produced the swaddling cloth with Mariam had given to them, on account whereof they kept a feast. And having, according to the custom of their country, made a fire, they worshipped it. Right? And casting the swaddling cloth into it, the fire took it and kept it. Right? And when the fire was put out, they took forth the swaddling cloth unhurt, and as much as the fire had not touched it. You see that? The miracles? Right? Then they began to kiss it and put it upon their heads and their eyes, seeing this is certainly an undoubted truth, and it is really surprising that the fire could not burn it and consume it. Then they took it, and with the greatest respect laid it up among their treasures. Chapter 6. Right? Chapter 6. Now Herod, perceiving that the wise men did delay and not return to him, called together the priests and wise men and said, Tell me in what place the Mashiach should be born. And when And when they replied in Bethlehem, a city of Judea, he began to contrive in his own mind the death of the Adonai Yahushua Mashiach, as an angel of Yahuwah appeared to Joseph in his sleep and said, Arise, take the child and his mother and go into Egypt as soon as the cock crows. So he rose and went. And as he was considering within himself about his journey, the morning came upon him. In the length of the journey, the girths of the sandal broke, and now he drew near to a great city in which there was an idol, to which other idols and gods of Egypt brought their offerings and vows. Right? And there was by this idol a priest ministering to it, who as often as Satan spoke out of that idol, related the things he said in the inhabitants of Egypt and those countries. This priest had a son 3 years old, who was possessed with a great multitude of devils, who uttered many strange things, and when the devil seized him, walked about naked with his clothes torn, throwing stones at those whom he saw. Near to that idol was the inn of the city in which Joseph, Mariam were come, and had turned into that inn. All inhabitants of the city were astonished, right? And all the magistrates and priests of the idol assembled before that idol and made inquiry there, saying, What means all this consternation and dread which has fallen upon all our country? The idol answered them, The unknown Elohim is come. You see that? You see that, brothers and sisters? The idol answered them. The Most High allowed this dumb idol to speak as a testament and a prophecy to the might and sovereignty and power of Yahushua Mashiach. He is Elohim. You hear what the idol said? And the idol answered them, The unknown Elohim is come hither, who is truly Elohim, right? Nor is there anyone beside him. You see that? There's no Allah beside him. There's no Haile Selassie beside him. Vishnu, Buddha, none of that gods you created in your mind is beside the Most High. Even the dumb idol speaking and telling you this testimony. I'm going to read it again, brothers and sisters, so you can understand. The idol answered them, The unknown Elohim is come hither, who is truly Elohim, nor is there any one besides him, who is worthy of divine worship, for he is truly the Son of Elohim. Right? At the fame of him, this country trembled. At his coming, it is under the presence, commotion, and consternation. And we ourselves are affrighted by the greatness of his power. At the same instant, this idol fell down. At his fall, all the inhabitants of Egypt, beside others, ran together. Right? But the son of the priest, when his usual disorder came upon him, going into the inn, found there Joseph and Mariam, whom all the rest had left behind and forsook. And when the lady Mariam had washed the swaddling clothes of the Adonai Mashiach and hung them out to dry upon a post, the boy possessed with the devil took down one of them and put it upon his head, and presently the devils began to come out of his mouth. You see the miracle of the infant? And fly away in the shape of crows and serpents. From that time the boy was healed by the power of the Adonai Mashiach, and he began to sing praises and give thanks to Yahuwah who had healed him. When his father saw him restored to his former state, right, to his former state, health, He said, My son, what has happened to thee, and by what means were thou cured? The son answered, When the devil seized me, I went into the inn, and there found a very handsome woman with a boy, whose swaddling clothes she had just before washed and hung out upon a post. One of these I took and put it upon my head, and immediately the devils left me and fled away. At this the father exceedingly rejoiced and said, My son, perhaps this boy is the son of the living Elohim, who made the heavens and the earth. For as soon as he came amongst us, the idol was broken, and all the gods fell down and were destroyed by a greater power. Right? Then was fulfilled the prophecy which said, Out of Egypt have I called my son. You see that? You see that, brothers and sisters? I'm gonna give you a precept about the idols falling down, right? Broken, worshiping the Most High, right? I'm gonna show you that, brothers and sisters, right? Right, brothers and sisters, I'm gonna show you that in scriptures, right? Now let's turn to 1 Samuel 5 from the King James Version 16:11, right? And the Philistine took the ark of Eliakim and brought it from Ebenezer unto Ashdod, right? Ashdod. When the Philistine took the ark of Eliakim, they brought it into the house of Dagon and set it by Dagon. And when they of Ashdod arose early on the morrow, behold, Dagon was fallen upon his face to the earth before the ark of Yahuwah. And they took Dagon and set him in his place again. And when they arose early on the morrow morning, behold, Dagon was fallen upon his face to the ground before the ark of Yahuwah. And the head of Dagon and both the palms of his hands were cut off upon the threshold. Only the stump of Dagon was left to him. See that, brothers and sisters? Therefore, neither the priests of Dagon nor any that come into Dagon's house tread on the threshold of Dagon in Ashdod unto this day. Huh? But the hand of Yahuwah was heavy upon them of Ashdod, and he destroyed them and smote them with emeroids, even Ashdod and the coasts thereof. And when the men of Ashdod saw that it was so, they said, The ark of the Elohim of Yasharel shall not abide with us, for his hand is sore upon us and upon Dagon our God. They sent therefore and gathered all the lords of the Philistines unto them and said, What shall we do with the ark of the Elohim of Yasharel? And they answered, Let the ark of the Elohim of Yasharel be carried about unto Gath. And they carried the ark of Elohim of Yasharel about thither. And it was so that after they had carried it about, the hand of Yahuwah was against the city with a very great destruction, and he smote the men of the city, both small and great. They had emeroids in their secret parts. Right? Therefore they sent the ark of Elohim to Ekron. And it came to pass, as the ark of Elohim came to Ekron, that the Ekronites cried out, saying, They have brought about the ark of Elohim of Yasharel to us, to slay us and our people. So they sent and gathered together all the lords of the Philistines, and said, Send away the ark of Elohim out of Yasharel, and let it go again to his own place, that he slay us not and our people, for there was a deadly destruction throughout all the city there, and the men that died not were smitten with emeroids, and the cry of the city went up to heaven, brothers and sisters. So you see the parallel, the same common theme, brothers and sisters, right? The same common theme, right? All right. Let's go to chapter 5, right? Now Joseph and Mariam, when they heard that the idol was fallen down and destroyed, were seized with fear and trembling, and said, when we were in the land of Yashrael, Herod, intending to kill Yahushua, slew for that purpose all the infants at Bethlehem and that neighborhood. And there is no doubt but the Egyptians, if they come to hear that this idol is broken and fallen down, will burn us with fire. They went therefore hence to the secret places of robbers, who robbed travelers as they passed by of their carriages and their clothes, and carried them away bound. These thieves upon their coming heard a great noise, such as the noise of a king with a great army and many horses, and the trumpet sounding at his departure from his own city, at which they were so affrighted as to leave all their booty behind them and fly away in haste. Upon this the prisoners arose and loosed each other's bonds, and taking each man his bags, they went away and saw Joseph and Mariam coming towards them, and inquired, where is thy king? The noise of whom approached the robbers heard, and led us so that we are now come off safe. Joseph answered, he will come after us. Chapter 6. Then they went into another city where there was a woman possessed with a devil, and in whom Satan, that cursed rebel, had taken up his abode. One night, when she went to fetch water, she could neither endure her clothes on nor to be in any house. But as often as they tied her with chains and cords, she brake them and went out into desert places, and sometimes standing where roads cross, and in churchyards would throw stones at men. When Mariam saw this woman, she pitied her, whereupon Satan presently left her and fled away in the form of a young man, saying, woe to me because of thee, Mariam, and thy son. So the woman was delivered from her torment, but considering herself naked, she blushed and avoided seeing any man, and having put on her clothes, went home and gave an account of her case to her father and relations, right? Whom, as they were the best of the city, entertained Mariam and Joseph with the greatest respect. The next morning, having received a sufficient supply of provisions for the road, they went from them, and about the evening of the day arrived at another town where a marriage was then about to be solemnized. Right, brothers and sisters? Right, solemnized. Right? But by the arts of Satan and the practices of some sorcerers, the bride was become so dumb that she could not so much as open her mouth. But when this dumb bride saw the lady Mariam entering into the town and carrying the Adonai Mashiach in her arms, she stretched out her hands to Adonai Mashiach, and took him in her arms, and closely hugging him very often, kissed him continually, moving him and pressing him to her body. Straightway the strings of her tongue was loosed, and her ears were opened, and she began to sing praises unto Elohim, who had restored her. So there was great joy among the inhabitants of the town that night. who thought that Elohim and his angels were come down among them. In this place they abode 3 days, meeting with great respect and splendid entertainment, right? And being then furnished by the people with provision for the road. So this is not the first time the Mashiach did miracles in marriage. You remember the famous story, or the Mashiach turned water into wine? That was at a marriage setting too. So the Most High value marriage, brothers and sisters, right? Value union, oneness, family. You see what I mean? Fast forward today, in this modern day, they get married for money instead of love, right? Sad. Sad. Verse 10, and being then furnished by the people with provision for the road, they departed and went to another city, in which they were inclined to lodge, because it was a famous place. Right? There was in this city a gentlewoman who, as she went down one day to the river to bathe, behold, cursed Satan leaped upon her in the form of a serpent. Right? And behold, himself about her belly, and every night lay upon her. This woman, seeing the Lady Mariam and the Adonai Mashiach, the infant in her bosom, asked the Lady Mariam that she could give her the child to kiss and carry in her arms. When she had consented, and as soon as the woman had moved the child, Satan left her. Right? Satan left her and fled away, nor did the woman ever afterwards see him. Hereupon all the neighbors praised the supreme Elohim, and the woman rewarded them with ample benefits. On the morrow, the same woman brought perfume water to wash the Adonai Yahushua, and when she had washed him, she preserved the water. And there was a girl there whose body was white with a leprosy. You see what I mean? So if she were already white, she wouldn't be white with leprosy, brothers and sisters. You know what I mean? So all these people were black, so-called people who look like you, descendants of Hebrew slave. You are royal people. You are the seed, the children of Yashuel, Hebrew, Israelite, descendant of Hebrew slave, who were scattered to the four corners of earth. Right? And there was a girl there whose body was white with a leprosy, who being sprinkled with this water and washed was instantly cleansed from her leprosy. And the people therefore said, without doubt Joseph and Mariam and that boy are gods, for they do not look like mortals. And when they were making ready to go away, the girl who had been troubled with the leprosy came and desired they would permit her to go along with them. So they consented, and the girl went with them till they came to a city in which was the palace of a great king, and whose house was not far from the inn. Here they stayed. And when the girl went one day to the prince's wife, and found her in a sorrowful and mournful condition, she asked her the reason of her tears. She replied, wonder not at my groans, for I am under a great misfortune, of which I dare not tell anyone. But says the girl, if you will entrust me with your private grievance, perhaps I may find you a remedy for it. Thou, therefore, say the prince's wife, shall keep the secret and not discover it to anyone alive. I have been married to this prince who rules as king over large dominions, and lived long with him, before he had any child by me. At length I conceived by him, but alas, I brought forth a leprous son, which was he saw he could not own to be his, but said to me, either do thou kill him, or send him to some nurse in such a place that he may be never heard of. And now take care of yourself, I will never see you more. So here I pain, lamenting my wretched and miserable circumstances. Alas, my son, alas, my husband, have I disclosed it to you? The girl replied, I have found a remedy for your disease, which I promise you, for I also was leprous, but Elohim have cleansed me, even he who is called Yahushua, the son of Mary, son of the Lady Mary. The woman inquiring where that Elohim was, whom she spake of, the girl answered, he lodges with you here in the same house. But how can this be, says she. Where is he? Behold, replied the girl, Joseph and Mariam, and the infant who is with them is called Yahushua. And it is he who delivered me from my disease and torment. But by what means, says she, were you cleansed from your leprosy? Will you not tell me that? Why not, says the girl. I took the water with which his body had been washed and poured it upon me, and my leprosy vanished. The prince's wife then arose and entertained them, providing a great feast for Joseph and a large company of men. And the next day took perfume water to wash the Adonai Yahushua, and after poured, right, verse 33. The prince's wife then arose and entertained them, providing a great feast for Joseph among a large company of men. And the next day took perfume water to wash the Adonai Yahushua, and afterwards poured the same water upon her son, whom she had brought with her, and her son was instantly cleansed from his leprosy. Right? Then she sang thanks and praises unto Elohim, and said, Blessed is the mother that bare thee, O Yahushua. Dost thou thus cure men of the same nature with thyself, with the water with which thy body is washed? She then offered very large gifts to the Lady Mariam, and sent her away with all imaginable respect. Right? Alright, brothers and sisters. Alright. Then came afterwards to another city, and had a mind to lodge there. Accordingly, they went to a man's house, right, who was newly married, but by the influence of sorcerers could not enjoy his wife, right? But they lodging at his house that night, the man was free of his disorder. And when they were preparing early in the morning to go forward on their journey, the new married person hindered them, and provided a noble entertainment for them. By going forward on the morrow, they came to another city, and saw 3 women going from a certain grave with great weeping. When Mariam saw them, she spake to the girl, who was their companion, saying, Go and inquire of them what is the matter with them, and what misfortune has befallen them. When the girl asked them, they made her no answer, but asked her again, Who are ye, and where are ye going? For the day is far spent, and the night is at hand. We are travelers, said the girl, and are seeking for an inn to lodge at. They replied, "Go along with us and lodge with us." They then followed them and were introduced to a new house, well furnished with all sorts of furniture. It was now winter time, and the girl went into the parlor where these women were, and found them weeping and lamenting as before. But then stood a mule covered over with silk and ebony, collar hanging down from his neck, right? From his neck, whom they kissed and were feeding. But when the girls said, "How handsome, ladies, that mule is," they replied with tears and said, "This mule which you see was our brother, born of his same mother as we. For when our father died and left us a very large estate, and we had only this brother, we endeavored to procure him a suitable match, and thought he should be married as other men. Some giddy and jealous woman bewitched him without our knowledge, and we one night a little before day, while the doors of the house were all fast shut, saw this our brother was changed into a mule, such as you now see him to be. And we, in the melancholy condition, right, the melancholy condition in which you see us, having no father to comfort us, have applied to all the wise men, magicians, diviners in the world, but they have been of no service to us. As often, therefore, we find ourselves oppressed with grief, we rise and go with this our mother to our father's tomb, where when we have cried sufficiently, we return home. When the girl had heard this, she said, "Take courage and cease your fears, for you have a remedy for your afflictions near at hand, even among you and in the midst of your house. For I was also leprous, but when I saw this woman and this little infant with her, whose name is Yahushua, I sprinkled my body with the water with which his mother had washed him, and I was presently made well. And I am certain that he is also capable of relieving you under your distress. Wherefore, arise, go to my mistress Mary, and when you have brought her into your own parlor, disclose to her the secret at the same time, earnestly beseeching her to compassionate your case." As soon as the women had heard the girl's discourse, they hastened away to the Lady Mariam, introduced themselves to her, and sitting down before her, they wept and said, our Lady Mariam, pity your handmaiden, for we have no head of our family, no one older than us, no father or brother to go in and out before us. But this mule which you see was our brother, which some women by witchcraft have brought into this condition which you see. Right? Right, brothers and sisters? But this mule which you see was our brother, which some woman by witchcraft have brought into this condition which you see. We therefore entreat you to compassionate us. Whereupon Miriam was grieved at this of their case, and taking the Adonai Yahushua, put him upon the back of the mule, and said to her son, "O Yahushua Mashiach, restore or heal according to thy extraordinary power." Right? So she's praying right now, brothers and sisters. Right? And said to her son, "O Yahushua Mashiach, restore or heal according to thy extraordinary power this mule, and grant him to give again the shape of a man and a rational creature as he had formerly." This was scarce said by the immediately passed into a human. You see that? This was scarce said by the lady Mariam, but the mule immediately passed into a human form, right? And became a young man without any deformity. Then he and his mother and the sister worshiped the lady Mariam and lifting. Then he and his mother and the sister worshiped the lady Mariam and lifting the child upon their heads. They kissed him and said, Blessed is thy mother, O Yahushua, our Savior of the world. Blessed are the eyes which are so happy as to see thee. Then both the sisters told their mother, saying, Of a truth, our brother is restored to his former shape by the help of the Adonai Yahushua Mashiach, and the kindness of that girl who told us of Mary and her son. And inasmuch as our brother is unmarried, it is fit that we marry him to this girl, their servant. When they had consulted Mariam in this matter, and she had given her consent, they made a splendid wedding for this girl. Right? So you notice a similar. If you notice a similar picture is painting right here. Everywhere the Mashiach go, or everywhere Mariam go with the Mashiach, is always some type of wedding going on, right? The Most High favors wedding, brothers and sisters, union, marriage between a man and woman that will sustain a family, a community, and a country, right? When they had consulted Mary in this matter, and she had given her consent, they made a splendid wedding for this girl. And so their sorrow being turned into gladness, right? And their mourning into mirth, they began to rejoice and to make merry and sing, being dressed in their richest attire with bracelets. Afterwards they glorify and praise Elohim, saying, O Yahushua, son of David, who changed sorrow into gladness and mourning into mirth. So they worshiping the Most High, right? They worshiping the Most High, no one else. Right after this, Joseph and Mariam tarried there 10 days, then went away, having received great respect from those people, right, whom they took their leave of them and returned home cried, but especially the girl. Right, brothers and sisters? I'm going to end it at chapter 10, right? We are chapter 8, right? In their journey from hence, they came into a desert country and were told it was infested with robbers. So Joseph and Mariam prepared to pass through, right, in the night. And as they were going along, behold, they saw two robbers asleep in the road, and with them a great number of robbers who were their confederates also asleep. The name of these were Titus and Demarcus. And Titus said to Demarcus, I beseech thee, let those persons go along quietly, that our company may not perceive anything of them. But Demarcus, refusing Titus, again said, I will give thee 40 groats, and as a pledge take my girdle, which he gave him before he had done speaking, that he might not open his mouth or make a noise. When the lady Mariam saw the kindness which this robber did shew them, she said to him, Yahuwah Elohim receive thee to his right hand, and grant thee pardon of thy sin. So you see this right here. This is the same thief that was at the right hand of the Most High. So this is before the Most High got crucified. And while he was an infant, Maryam professed this prophecy unto him. Right? Then the Adonai Yahushua answered and said to his mother, when 30 years are expired, so the Mashiach is talking as an infant right here to his mother. Then the Adonai answered and said to his mother, when 30 years are expired, O mother, the Jews will crucify me at Jerusalem, and these two thieves shall be with me at the same time upon the cross, Titus on my right and Demarcus on my left. And from that time Titus shall go before me into paradise. You see that? And when she had said, Elohim forbid this should be thy lot, O my son, they went on to a city in which were several idols, which as soon as they came near to it was turned into hills of sand. Right? Hence they went to that sycamore tree which is now called Mataria, and Mataria the Adonai Yahushua caused a well to spring forth in which Maryam washed his coat. And a balsam is produced or grows in that country from the sweat which ran down there from the Adonai Yahushua. Thence they proceeded to Memphis and saw Pharaoh, and abode there 3 years in Egypt. And the Adonai Yahushua did very many miracles in Egypt, which are neither to be found in the gospel of the infancy, nor in the gospel of the perfection. Right? And the end of 3 years he turned out of Egypt, and when he came near to Judea, Joseph was afraid to enter, for hearing that Herod was dead, and that Archelaus his son reigned in his stead, he was afraid. And when he went to Judea, an angel of Elohim appeared to him and said, O Joseph, go into the city Nazareth and abide there. It is strange indeed that he who is Yahuwah of all countries should be thus carried backwards and forward through so many countries. Right? Chapter 9. And when they came afterwards into the city, Bethlehem, they found there several very desperate distempters, which became it so troublesome to children by seeing them that most of them died. There was there a woman who had a sick son, whom she brought when he was at the point of death to the lady Maryam, who saw her when she was washing Yahushua Mashiach. Then said the woman, O Lady Maryam, look down upon this my son, who is afflicted with most dreadful pains. Maryam, hearing her, said, take a little of that water with which I have washed my son, and sprinkle it upon him. Then she took a little of that water, as Maryam had commanded, and sprinkled it upon her son, whom being wearied with his violent pains, right, had fallen asleep, and after he had slept a little, awakened perfectly well and recovered. So the evil spirit wearied him out. That's why he fell asleep, right? But he recovered before, right? When he was washed, he fell asleep and recovered. Let's read it again. Then she took a little of that water, as Maryam had commanded, and sprinkled it upon his violent and sprinkle it upon her son, who being wearied with his violent pains, and had fallen asleep, and after he had slept a little, awakened perfectly well and recovered. The mother being abundantly glad of this success, went again to Maryam, and Maryam said to her, give praises to Elohim, who had cured this thy son. So you see that? She directing you to praise the Elohim, not her, right? There was in the same place another woman, a neighbor of her, whose son was now cursed. This woman's son was afflicted with the same diseases, and his eyes were now almost quite shut. And she was lamenting for him day and night. And day and night, the mother of the child which was cursed said to her, why do you not bring your son to her, when he was in the agonies of death, and he was cursed by that water which the body of her son Yahushua was washed? When the woman heard her say this, she also went, and having procured the same water, washed her son with it, whereupon his body and his eyes were instantly restored to their former state. And when she brought her son to Mariam, and opened his case to her, she commanded her to give thanks to Elohim for the recovery of her son. Again, Mariam pointed them to Yahuwah, the Father. You know what I mean? Reverse back today. These churches today, Catholic Church and the Orthodox Church, a similar church like this, you know what I mean? You know, give you the idea that you can worship Mary, the mother of God, and make her some type of intercession. And the scripture said there's only one mediator between Elohim and man, and that's the man Yahushua Mashiach. So aren't you not going against contrary? Are you not going against the scriptures, brothers and sisters? Are they not going against scriptures? The very same scripture that they profess in their Son God's service every first day, right? And when she brought her son to Mariam and opened his eyes to her, she commanded her to give thanks to Elohim for the recovery of her son's health, and tell no one what happened. Right? Chapter 10. There were in the same city 2 wives of one man, whom had each a son sick. One of them was called Mary, and her son's name was Caleb. She arose, and taking her son, went to the lady Mariam, the mother of Yahushua, and offered her a very handsome carpet, saying, O my lady Mariam, accept this carpet of me, and instead of it give me a small swaddling cloth. To this Mary agreed. And when the mother of Caleb was gone, she made a coat for her son of the swaddling cloth, put it on him, and his disease was cured. But the son of the other wife died. Hereupon there arose between them a difference in doing the business of the family, by turns each her week. And when the turn of Mary, the mother of Caleb, came, and she was heating the oven to bake bread, and went away to fetch the meat, she left her son Caleb by the oven, whom the other wife, her rival, seeing to be by himself, took and cast him into the oven, which was very hot, and then went away. Mary on her return saw her son Caleb lying in the middle of the oven, laughing, and often quite as cool as though it had not been before heated, and knew that her rival, the other wife, had thrown him into the fire. When she took him out, she brought him to the lady Mariam, and told her the story, to whom she replied, Be quiet, I am concerned lest thou shouldest make this matter known. After this, her rival, the other wife, as she was drawing water at the well, and saw Caleb playing by the well, and that no one was near, took him and threw him into the well. And when some men came to fetch water from the well, they saw the boy sitting on the surfaces of the water, and drew him out with ropes, and were exceedingly surprised at the child, and praised Elohim. Then came the mother and took him, and cried and carried him into the lady Miriam, lamenting and saying, O my lady, see what my rival have done to my son, and how she had cast him into the well, and I do not question, but one time or another she will be the occasion of his death. Miriam replied to her, Elohim will vindicate your injured cause. Accordingly, a few days after, when the other wife came to the well to draw water, her foot was entangled in the rope, so that she fell headlong into the well, and they who ran to her assistance found her skull broken and bones buried. So she came to a bad end, and in her was fulfilled that saying of the author, they digged a well and made it deep, but fell themselves into the pit which they prepared. Right? Right? The psalmist also talk about this too, about digging well and setting trap for other people. Right, brothers and sisters, we must come out of her. Right? Come out, come out, come out of her, my people. Right? For the time is at hand. You know what I mean? The time is at hand, brothers and sisters, where the judge around the corner. Flee religion. Right? Flee false God worship. Right? There's only one mediator, brothers and sisters. There's only one mediator. Right? And his name is Yahushua, Mashiach. Right? Now, if you look at your screen, right now, right, there's an image. This is what telling us, this is what talking about. You must come out of the church system or the Babylonian system. You know what I mean? The white Christian way thinking system. Right? And come back to the laws, commandments, statutes, Hebrew scattered to the four corners of the earth. Right? You look at the screen right now, please. You will see an image, right? World Council of Churches, right? And you have the image of an Egyptian false god, half man, half beast. His head is a bird and his body is a human. You see the ankh, right? The boat of Osiris. Every single church on earth, brothers and sisters, are under this World Council of Churches. And Francis is the head, or part of the head, or is the head of these churches, because Catholic is a daughter of Babylon. Right? Right, brothers and sisters? She's the head of the beast, the church system. And every single church is under the council of churches. Right? Look at the screen. Keep looking at the screen, brothers and sisters. Right? This is a 1993, right, mission statement of the World Council of Churches Conferences. 1993 World Council Church Conference honors Sophia, goddess, gives ovation to lesbians, brothers and sisters. This is why you have these. This is why they allow these things, these homosexuality, this lesbianism, transvestite, bestiality, all that fitness in the church, because it's coming from the head of all churches, the World Council of Churches. Right? Every church is a part of this. Every single church on earth is a part of this. Right? In a seminar on reimagining sexuality, family, lesbian theologian Mary Hunt said, imagine sex among friends as the norm. Imagine valuing sexual interaction in terms of whether and how it fosters friendship, pleasure. Pleasure is our birthright, of which we have been robbed in religious patriarchy. So you see this, they're blaming men for their so-called suppression of their sexuality, which is abomination and filthiness. Right? They love to deflect. These modern women love to deflect and blame everybody for their filthiness, so they change their wicked and filthy ways. And my people, so-called black people, who are in these Sunday churches, you understand, co-sign these filthiness and wicked abominable lifestyle, destroying families, hopping from man to man, right? Destroying families instead of building families. You understand? The November, right? The release of patriarchy, AFA Journal, February 1994, right? The November 3rd, 1993, Minneapolis Star Tribune reported that throughout the conference, worship experiences will celebrate Sophia, the biblical goddesses of creation, which is a lie, right? Which is a lie from pit of hell. Sue Said Martin, right? Sue Said Martin of the University of St. Thomas School of Divinity in St. Paul, Minneapolis, claimed that this Sophia is the suppressed part of the biblical tradition and clearly the female face of human psyche. The utter blasphemy, right? The utter blasphemy of these wicked people. And these are the people that you listen to, right? These are the people you listen to, brothers and sisters. Continue to look on the screen, right? You have the Chiro or Cairo, it's Chiro and Cairo, right? This is the sign, right? Constantine, pagan Constantine the Great. This is the sign he saw in heaven that was given to him by Hashatan. Hashatan gave him this sign to conquer the earth. You see the Ankh, right? Previously, before I showed you the image of the World Council of Churches and the insignia or symbol. You see Egyptian pagan god with a bird head and a human body and an Ankh, right? Cairo, Egypt, as a boy's name is pronounced Cairo with a K, Cairo or Kiro. It is of Arabic origin and the meaning of Cairo is victorious. Chiro symbol intersected by the Chi or the X, which two letters are the first and second at the name Christus with the X or Christ. See that, brothers and sisters? Right? Right, brothers and sisters? Right? These are the signs that they saw, the mark. Right? These are the signs they saw, brothers and sisters. Right? Well, these are the signs that they saw, brothers and sisters. As I read to you earlier, a matter of fact, let's go to the sign. Right, brothers and sisters. So let's go over this again. It said, if you look at the screen, it says speculation has associated the cross symbol even in the prehistoric period with astronomical cosmological symbology involving four elements in the Phoenician alphabet and derived scripts. The cross symbol represented the phenomy /t/.ie, the letter tau, which is the historical predecessor of the Latin T. The letter name tau means mark, presumably continuing the Egyptian hieroglyph two cross sticks. Look on your left, brothers and sisters. For the letter T, for the letter is tab or ta, a Hebrew word meaning mark. Revelation 13:16, KJV 16. And he caused all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. Right? Look at the look at keep looking at the screen. This is the image, right? That is abomination and a snare to Yashrael, right? This is what Sunday worship do. They give you idols when you follow your enemy, and you choose his ways and you envy his ways and their women. The scripture warned you that they would cause you to stray away and serve other gods, right? Ezekiel 8:10. So I went and saw, and behold, every form of creeping things and abominable beasts and all the idols of the house of Yahshua portrayed upon the walls around. Right? This is what's going on right now, brothers and sisters. Right? This is what's going on right now. Right? As you can see it. I don't even have to go to scriptures, because I have the scriptures right here. Right? Ezekiel 8:10. So I went and saw, and behold, every form of creeping things and abominable beasts and all the idols of the house of Yashrael portrayed upon the walls round about. You see all this in the church, in the Catholic Church and Orthodox Church, and all these idol images are round about them, fulfilling the prophecy against you, Yashrael. Right? Because you continue to disobey the Most High in not keeping his laws, commandments, and statutes. So it's a testament against you and a judgment against you, brothers and sisters. Right? Keep looking on your screen. You see the image of the Inquisition, right? This is in what you call it, Portugal or Portuguese Spain. Right, brothers and sisters? Portuguese Spain. Right? That's the first Inquisition against us. Right? And the Inquisition, because we had come, the Most High scattered us to the four corners of the earth, including Portugal and Spain, the Portuguese Jews, the seed of David. You understand? We were scattered to the four corners of the earth, and the Inquisition took place against us, right, through their pagan churches, because our people, already believe in the Mashiach, right? So the Inquisition was never, the Inquisition was about heresy, right? But it was never about they believe in the Mashiach, because see, they believe in the Mashiach, but what they were persecuted for was keeping the commandments, the Shabbat, the feast days. That's why the Inquisition happened, to wipe out so-called heresy. And the heresy is keeping the commandments of the Most High, not keeping the commandments of man. Right? Spanish Inquisition. Inquisition was a powerful office set up with the Catholic Church. Right? It was set up by the Catholic Church. Right? To root out and punish heresy throughout Europe and the Americas, beginning in the 12th century and continuing for hundreds of years. The Inquisition is famous for the severity of its torture and the persecution of the Jews, the Hebrew Israelites that was in Portugal, Spain. Right? You can go research that on your own about the Portugal Jews or the Portuguese Jews. Right? The tribal of the Holy Office of the Inquisition, Spanish Tribunal del Santo Oficio de la Inquisición, right? Commonly known as the Spanish Inquisition. Spanish Inquisición Española was established in 1478 by the Catholic monarchs King Ferdinand II of Aragon and Queen Isabella I of Castile. It was intended to maintain Catholic orthodoxy in their kingdoms and to replace the medieval Inquisition, which was under papal control. It became the most substantive of the three different manifestations of the wider Catholic Inquisition, along with the Roman Inquisition of Portuguese Inquisition. So you see, it's two Inquisition, brothers and sisters, right here. You can see they're telling you. The Spanish Inquisition may be defined broadly as operating in Spain, right? And in all Spanish colonies and territories, which include the Canary Islands, the Kingdom of Naples, right? And all the Spanish possessions in North, Central, and South America, according to the modern estimates. Around 150,000 people were prosecuted for various offenses during 3 centuries duration of Spanish Inquisition, of whom between 3,000 to 5,000 were executed. That's 2.7% of all cases, brothers and sisters. You understand? So we were prosecuted for keeping the commandments, right? We were prosecuted of keeping the commandments, brothers and sisters, right? Right. If you look at the screen, here's an example of a Portuguese Jews. Naban are Japanese painting of the Portuguese Jews of the 16th century. Right? You see that? The Portuguese Jews of the 16th century. Right? By his best effort or first effort, King Joba the second or King John the Second in 1491 expelled all the Jews to the island of St. Thomas, which has been discovered in 1471, and to other Portuguese settlement of the continent of Africa, and from there banished Jews, the black Portuguese as they are called, and the Jews in Luango, who are different or defiled even by the very Negroes, are darkened by their colonialists. St. Thomas soon became a considerable place of trade and vulnerable for its sugar plantation. 30 years after their settlement, not less than 156,000 arobes of 30 pounds weight each, right, of sugar were exported, and the engine of 64 or 60 sugar works turned by slaves. The Negro were purchased in Guinea, Congo, and Mini-Congo, and the colonists had plantations fortified with from 150 to 3,000 Negroes, slaves, right? Right? King John in 1492 expelled all the Jews of Spain to the island of St. Thomas, which had been discovered in 1471, and to other Portuguese settlements on the continent of Africa. And from the banished Jews, the black Portuguese, as they are called, and the Jews of Loango, who are hated by the very Negroes, are descended by the colonists. St. Thomas soon became a considerable place of trade and vulnerable for its sugar plantation. The Negroes were purchased in Guinea, Congo, and Mani-Congo. Right, brothers and sisters? You are royal people. We are royal people, brothers and sisters. You know what I mean? It's time for you to wake up and come back to yourself. You see what I mean? You need to come back to yourself, brothers and sisters. Because we are waking up soon and very soon, and we are waking up. We are waking up, brothers. Slowly but surely, we are waking up. You know what I mean? And many shall be left behind. Many shall be left behind, brothers and sisters. We are royal people. Right? We are royal people. See, look, keep looking at the screen, brothers and sisters. A crucifix is a symbol of the passion of our Adonai. You see? This is what the true cross will look like, right? Right? Latin cruce referred to the gibbet where criminals were executed at stake or pole, but not necessarily to intersecting or cruciform beams. The Latin word derived from the verb crucio, to torture, right? English cruciate, Latin cruce, originally referred to the tree or stake in which criminals, right? In which criminals were crucified in the pre-imperial period, right? Pre-imperial period. This was later specified as crus acuta or crus simplex, the Greek equivalent of Latin cruce, stake, gibbet, or stake pole. The latter, talv, was associated with the staros or cruce, which the notion of cruciform shape, i.e., associated with the letter T, X, the Greek term for crossing, intersection. Right, brothers and sisters? See on your left the reconstructed gallows style gibbet at Caxton Gibbet in Cambridgeshire, England. Right, this is what it would have looked like when they crucified the Mashiach on the tree. Right, you see that? That's a black man right there, right, hanging from a tree. So as Mashiach hang from a tree, you will hang from a tree. You see that, brothers and sisters? You see that? You see that, brothers? See the connection, right? You right? Keep looking at your screen, brothers and sisters. Sunday worship, right? Latin, dies, solis, French, Demanchi, meaning Sunday. Origin, celebrates the sun god Ra, Helios, Apollo, Agmios, Mithra, or sun goddess Phoebe or Phoebe. In the year 321, right? The year 321, the Roman Emperor Constantine rules that the first day of the week, the venerable day of the sun, should be a day of rest. The name was changed to Dies Dominica, Lord's Day in ecclesiastical tradition. So you see, prior to that, our people were keeping the laws, commandments, and statutes. When the Council of Nicaea came in 321, they changed all of that. That's when the persecution again began, the Inquisition of rooting out those that keep the commandments, the Sabbath day, right? The laws of the Most High. Right, brothers and sisters? You see that? So, we got to come back to our royalness, brothers and sisters. We are rulers, right? We are rulers, brothers and sisters. We are warriors. We are God-fearing people. But we lost that because the scripture fulfilled that these things we're going to lose. He also is going to gather us again. Right? He also going to gather us again, brothers and sisters. Look at this on your screen. Another abomination. May 21, 2020. The world's religion and political leaders will come together at the Vatican and sign a pact with Pope Francis. This pact will usher in the one world religion known as the globalism humanism with a new set of commandments. You see that? With a new set of commandments, the Noahide law. The Noahide laws. You should research that Noahide law. You should research the Noahide law, brothers and sisters. You see that? This is the beast New World Order system. It's here. It's her boys and girls, and you thought you still had time. It is here already. Right? The time is now. No, the time is now. Well, guess what? There is no more time, brothers and sisters. You see? There's no more time. So I mean, right? There's no more time, brothers and sisters. You see what I mean? See, another image of the sign and wonders, the false god image. Who and what is paganism, brothers and sisters? You see that? Right? Look at another image right here. Right, brothers and sisters? right? This is the Babylonian god. This is their false god, right? The sun god they worship is him, Nimrod, the Babylonian god, Neruta, Nimrod defied, right? Limestone stone dated 865 BC to 860 BC, British Museum. You see right in the bottom of the screen? See at the bottom of the screen, brothers? Horn helmet, that's number one. Horn helmet, the Babylonian supreme god Ashur, two wing disc, sun god Shama, right? Because they worship the elements, sun, moon, and star, right? The moon and crescent, the sun and moon, that's a Muslim, right? The sun, Christianity, right? Right, brothers and sisters? Number one, horn, helmet. Esau gonna be the end of the world, brothers and sisters. This is why I say, come out of religion, Christianity, Muslim, Islam, Buddha, all these camps, these Hebrew camps, are no better than the Christians. And these Rasta camps also. We need to come out to our roots, our Hebrew roots. Jamaicans, Bayesian, Trinidad, St. Kitts, Nevis, Virgin Islands. Right? We need to come back, brothers and sisters. Number one, horn helmet, the Babylonian supreme god Ashur, two winged disc sun god Shama or Shamash, three crescent moon god Sin, Allah or Islam. You see that? Four compass storm god Adad, messianic icon. 5. Star Venus, the goddess of love and war, Aster, celebration of Easter. You see that? When you celebrate Easter, you're celebrating Nimrod, the pagan god, a goddess. You see that? Cross of Horus. What's the cross of Horus? Of Horus, brothers and sisters, the Ankh. The very same image that Constantine saw, right? In the heaven that Hashatan showed him, right? The cross of Horus, the Maltese cross of knights and Templars, right? We need to come back to our roots, our royalness, brothers and sisters. We used to rule the earth. Look at the image, brothers and sisters. King James, black royalty. You see that? This very same man who translated the Bible from Hebrew to English, who is a Hebrew himself and who ruled Spain in those early days. Look at the image right here. Black King James, royalty. King James, clearly what you would call black. Blacks are original royal Jews rule Europe. You see that? See that, brothers and sisters? You keep looking at the screen. This is a book. Image location, New College Library, Edinburgh. Right? This is from an excerpt from a book. I know that this image of a black King James can be a little confusing because of your Western education, but this is the truth that is known by the rich and elite in the world. Right? That was the reason I paraded all of the English historians and professors before I got into the bowels of this book. I had to get your mind ready to receive the truth. King James came from a long line of black Scottish Stuart kings, 343 years of rulership in Scotland. The Stuarts are not only ruled in Scotland, they rule France, Spain, Ireland, and England, Britain and Wales. King James was able to rule all of these lands because all of these people were Iberian black descents. They were. You see? You see that? Kingdom of Hebrews, brothers and sisters. This is what I'm telling you. Right? Kingdom of Hebrews. Right? Right, brothers and sisters? Keep looking at the screen. Right? You see? These are what you call emblems or signet, right? Or crescent, royal crescent. You see that? The royal crown. You see that? Cope, Stuarts, Cope, Black, Jacob. You see that? The rulership. Look at that. Royal people, brothers and sisters. You see that? Royal people. You see that? So this end the lesson. It's a very long lesson, but very compact and very informative. You know what I mean? I hope it bless and help someone out there to awaken to the true identity of Hebrews. If you are descendant of slavery, because your history did not start with slavery, it's a part of it because of our disobedience and a testimony against you of your continued disobedience and wicked ways. But that was not your history as a whole. Your history started in the scriptures. Your history started with Adam. Your history started with scriptures, brothers and sisters. For you are descendant of Yasharel, royal people. You must know that and understand that and stop aiming your oppressor and choose his way, brothers and sisters. Because you choose your way, you begin to choose your false gods and worshiping their false gods and the imagery of sex, sexual immortality, of selfishness, of greed, of mammal, money. Because of that, it become a snare unto you and a trap to destroy you, brothers and sisters. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up. Shalom. Bless you, Shabbat.
People, open up your eyes. Only Jalo, only Jalo, yeah. Only Jalo, only Jalo. Come on, come on. Only Jalo, only Jalo. Alright then. Only Jalo, only Jalo. This world is not God's world. Them deny the power that created you.